Well, welcome back to the Piney Woods Homestead, y'all. I am bringing you a pig video today. We've noticed we've got a lot of new subscribers, and a lot of people have found us by looking for pigs and information on pigs. So today I'm going to give you a little bit of information on not only these Herefords that we raise, but pigs in general, y'all. And just so that you know, this information is not just coming from a country boy in a Mount Olive pickle hat. It's coming from knowledge that's been passed down to me from my father, who raised pigs commercially, as well as starting out in the woods in the 1960s, his father before him, his father before him, and so on. And not just that knowledge, y'all. Lisa and I do a lot of research through university studies for the commercial pork operation to glean some information that we can use on our homestead, as well as other knowledgeable local farmers, when I say local, within our own state that we've dealt with, to gain that knowledge that we need to grow out a good pig within 6 months that's got a good carcass yield, good flavor, good genetics, good health. So I'm going to try to share a few of those things with you today, and hopefully it'll help you out if you are just getting into the pig operation on your homestead or you're wanting to. All right, guys, we'll jump straight into it. Y'all, if you've watched any of our videos in the past, you're going to be like, why are there only 4 piglets in there? That's because my friend Byron over at Carolina Hill Country came and picked up 2 nice fat barrows yesterday evening to grow out on his place. And guys, these pigs right now are 7 weeks old. Generally speaking, 8 weeks is a weaned piglet if you're raising them the way that we are. This is not commercially growing. And they're learning to fence. I turned the electric on. You gotta train them to fence before you ever put them out into your pasture. We'll get to that in a few minutes, but one hit it, so I thought I'd bring it up. They brought it up for me. Raising in a commercial environment, you have more control over that pig's heat, the heat that it needs, as well as its feed intake. And so you can pull piglets off much sooner than 8 weeks in a commercial environment. A lot of people have the misconception that if you are raising them on your homestead at 3 weeks, well, they should be weaned. Pull them off. That's when you're going to have pigs that hadn't already died from getting laid on by the mother. They're going to die now. Or they're going to get so malnourished that they can't pick back up. And it'll take you way, way more feed than what it should to get that pig up to a butcher weight. That's not the only thing that can affect your carcass weight though, guys. You've heard me preach it on here many a time. Genetics, genetics, genetics. Y'all, the commercial growers figured this out a long time ago. If you will take the better qualities of the pigs that you're raising, you notice that one hog's putting on more back fat with the same amount of feed that another breed of hog is putting on with the same amount of feed. Then you adjust. You adjust your breeding practices, you adjust your feeding practices to get an optimal pig for a carcass yield, because y'all, in the commercial industry, and y'all, if you're raising it for yourself, that's the name of the game. It's all about feed conversion, and a lot of people can't get that in their mind. They think that I just need a $25, $35, $45 feeder pig, and that's what, it's just a feeder pig. No genetic knowledge of the feeder pig whatsoever. They think they can get that home, feed it whatever they want to feed it, and it's going to put on the weight. And I say weight, muscle, y'all. Muscle's what you're looking for. Yes, you want some fat. Muscle's what you're looking for. Carcass yield, y'all. If you don't have the right genetics, you are never going to get the potential out of that pig that you're putting that high dollar feed into. So since we're on the topic of feeder pigs, what should you look for in your neck of the woods in a feeder pig? Well, this is a prime example. Right here, these 4 pigs are what you should look for. And I'm not talking about colors, y'all. The Hereford breed, this is what they look like. They were bred over 100 years ago to look like Hereford cattle by mixing Duroc, Chester White, and Poland China. To come up with this, y'all, and it's not just for the look, it's for the carcass yield. All right, so what you want to look for when you are picking out a feeder pig. Number one, litter size. If you're talking to the breeder, you want to know how many pigs did their sow give birth to. In this situation, Dixie gave birth to 10. She's a new mom. She goofed up a little bit and laid on a few of them. So we ended up with 6, which was fine. You want to make sure if you are expecting to grow this pig out to a processing weight of, maybe I should have waited to turn the fence on before I started the video. If you're wanting to grow that out to 225 to 250 in 6 months, which is what you should be able to do, you want to make sure when you're looking at that pig, does he have nice developed hams? Is he wide on the hind end? And if you see these pig butts back here, they're nice and wide. Are their shoulders wide, or are they skinny? Are they so long-legged and tall and skinny but have no definition that you want to stay away from that? If you see a pig standing on its toes like a ballerina, stay away from that too. And you got that in your mind, you know what I'm talking about, on their tippy toes. That means that structurally there is something wrong with that pig, either in its shanks or its hips. Stay away from it, because it's probably going to give you some issues. You definitely wouldn't want to breed with it. All right, what are some other things? Top line. When you're looking at the top of that pig's back, is it straight? Is it arched? Or does it have a sway in it, like that old sway, like a sway back mule? You really don't want the sway back if you can help it. Straight, a little bit of arch, especially if you're looking for a gilt that you're wanting to breed later on. Does she have a little bit of arch? I'm not talking a big bow humpback. I'm talking just a little bit of arch. That means that she's going to be able to hold more weight on her back from a boar if you're going to use a boar. And that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. All right, I tend to ramble a little bit, so try to get back on point here. When you go to pick up your feeder pig, before you hand the money over, when was that pig born? When did the sow farrow? If it's a reputable breeder, they're going to have notes. They're going to have a notebook, y'all. We keep a notebook around here, and everybody I know personally that is breeding pigs, which is not many, y'all, they're keeping a notebook, a spreadsheet, something, showing what boar was bred to their sow, what the farrowing date was, the actual farrowing date. Did they come early, premature? Did they come late? Normally, they're right on time if you've got a good sow. What day did they start creep feeding? And that's the key too, guys. If you are looking at that piglet and he is not nice and heavy at 7 to 8 weeks like this right here, I'm talking well defined. These are 30 to 40 pound piglets somewhere around in there. I know that because I picked up a couple of them last night loading them up for Carolina Hill Country. And they're solid, y'all. There is not hardly any fat on these pigs yet, and there shouldn't be, because you're putting muscle on these feeder pigs before you ever putting any fat on them. Yes, they're going to have a little thin layer of fat because it's an animal. They're going to have some fat, but you should not be seeing rolls. You should not be seeing loose skin on a pig. You should be seeing well-defined muscle structure when you're looking at that feeder pig getting ready to bite. If you're looking at a slick hog and you can't see no curves, stay away from that. All right, I'm walking around to the other side trying to get Dixie over here away from those piglets, because every time they bump that fence, she thinks she needs to protect them, and we're trying to get her dried up. But one other thing while I'm walking over here to Dixie, if your breeder does not, depending on the state you live in, guys, I'm not sure what the laws are everywhere. This is North Carolina. If your breeder does not have tags for their piglets to go home with you, stay away from it. That means that they are hiding something that it could really get you in trouble if you get stopped by a wildlife agent on the way home with that pig. And you can look up your local laws and regulations, but what happens is they'll say that's a feral pig, or is that a domesticated pig? We don't know because they don't have tags. And it's a large fine, y'all. It's worth way more bacon than you got hauling in the back of your pickup truck. So think about it this way. If the breeder, the farmer, is trying to hide something from the local authorities, what are they trying to hide from you when it comes to that pig? All right, maybe y'all can see Dixie back here in the background just a little bit. She's not being real cooperative in coming over to me. She's already gotten done eating, so her belly's full. And these pigs, they're hitting that fence, y'all. It's gonna take them a couple weeks to get used to that electric, even though they've been running around out here with Dixie and Rosie. But if you look at Dixie walking over here, she is solid as a rock, y'all. Nice big well-defined hams, nice wide hams, nice wide shoulders, nice straight with a little bit of bow in it, top line, long loins, y'all. She's a good looking pig. And if you look at her udder line, well, you can't see it now because Big Mama's in the way. She's got a nice udder line. And I've counted the teats on her before. I can't remember how many are there, but it was plenty adequate, even if all 10 out of her litter had survived. And more than likely, next year when we breed her again, they will, because these new sows get better as time goes on with caring for the young. But today is more about feeder pigs, so let me try to get back on topic. All right, let me ask you something. When you go to buy a nice steak at your supermarket, on the package, a lot of times it's going to say certified Angus beef or certified whatever kind of beef. Most of the time, that's what it's going to say. If it doesn't say that on it, it's probably an old dairy cow. Who knows? But it's kind of the same way with pork, guys. If you're wanting to raise your own pork, grow it out, what do you want? Do you want Heinz 57? Are you satisfied with that? Or do you want something that has some quality to it? Whether it is an old breed like a Duroc or a Berkshire, excellent breeds of pigs, by the way. We just chose Hereford. You can go back and look at some videos. The reason why we chose them, their docile temperament, carcass yield, all that sort of thing. And the fact that nobody around here was raising them, and the fact that nobody around here was really raising anything with any superb genetic lines anyhow. It was all Heinz 57. And we didn't want Heinz 57 for our freezers. So this is why we have taken a long road, y'all, to get to here. It's taken over 5 years getting our infrastructure in first and then getting our pigs. That's another thing. Let's talk about infrastructure. When Lisa and I started, we started with 3 pigs, 3 little piggies. And all we had out here in the woods, y'all, were 3 strands of like 17 gauge wire. Might have had some high tensile steel on the bottom. But y'all, that's what we started with, and that worked for 1 season. The only problem was trees kept falling on that thing, shorting it out. A pig would step across the barrier, and once they did, you had to retrain them all over again. So what we did was we put up woven wire on the outside. We've got our paddock out here in the woods, a little over an acre, separated with just a couple of strands of like 17 gauge and some plastic construction fence as a visual barrier. Our feeder pigs will run on one side, our sows stay on the other. As time went on, piggies are still getting hit. They gotta learn. We built the farrowing barn, and that has been great as a central hub. We breed in there, we dispatch animals in there, we let these feeder pigs stay in this area for a couple of weeks while they're learning electric fence, getting a little bit more size on them before we ever turn them out into the final grow out area. So some decent infrastructure, guys. Get you some decent infrastructure before you ever bring any feeder pigs home that you're wanting to top out. Or if you're wanting to breed like we are, try your best. Try your best to get you some infrastructure in place before you even get started. That way you don't have the hassle of losing pigs, neighbors calling, or think about it like this, even worse. If you don't live way back in the middle of nowhere and that pig gets out on the road, big pig, I'm talking a 200-pound pig plus, and causes an accident. So you definitely want to have some good infrastructure in place. Y'all, I'm sure in no way, shape, form, or fashion have I covered everything about feeder pigs. Nor do I know everything about feeder pigs, y'all, but I do know quite a bit thanks to knowledge I have gleaned from my dad, that he gleaned from his dad, that he gleaned from his dad, and knowledge we have gleaned from reading university studies and listening to other reputable breeders that we have met along the way. Guys, we hope you have a good day, a great week, and if you've gone out here this year and got yourself what we call Piney Woods rooters, that's what you call a pig that won't put no weight on, that's slick, ain't got no structure. It's what you call Piney Woods rooter. And yeah, we're called the Piney Woods Homestead, kind of a play on words, I suppose, but we got a lot of pine trees too. But it's what you call a Piney Woods rooter. And y'all, that's not what you want to be putting all that high dollar quality feed into to grow out. You want to be putting it into a Cadillac, something that's going to convert that feed to muscle mass and make nice pork chops for your kitchen table. All right, y'all have a good one. We'll see you on the next one. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise too high, y'all.